Elevate, don't entertain. That phrase is a reminder to rise above the noise instead of becoming part of it. In a world that often rewards spectacle over substance, it's tempting to put on a show, to perform, to please, to fit in, to make people laugh or clap or cheer, even if it means diluting who you are. But entertainment is temporary. Elevation is transformational. When you choose to elevate, you choose purpose over popularity, depth over distraction, and leadership over approval. We live in an era where entertainment is everywhere. Attention has become currency, and people are willing to trade their authenticity to get it. But when you look closely, much of what's popular is shallow, loud, flashy, forgettable, and when the performance ends, so does the value. That's the trap. If you keep trying to entertain, you'll always need to do more to keep people watching. But if you elevate, your impact lasts long after the moment ends. Elevating means stepping into rooms not just to impress, but to inspire. It means using your voice not to get laughs or likes, but to spark thought, growth, and change. When you elevate, you don't just reflect the energy in the room, you shift it, you challenge it, you raise it. People leave your presence thinking bigger, feeling bolder, wanting to do better. That's what real influence looks like. The urge to entertain is rooted in the need for approval. It's about being liked, being accepted, being validated. But when you live for the approval of others, you become a version of yourself that fits their comfort zone, not your calling. You start making decisions based on applause rather than alignment. And the more you entertain, the more you shrink, because every joke, every performance, every attention-seeking moment pulls you further away from your true self. Elevation requires a different level of integrity. It asks you to stand tall in your truth even when it's not popular. It asks you to speak up about things that matter even when it's uncomfortable. It asks you to show people what's possible, not just what's palatable. And that kind of influence doesn't always come with instant applause. Sometimes it comes with silence, resistance, criticism, but that's how you know you're making waves, not just ripples. There's a responsibility that comes with choosing to elevate. It means being mindful of what you project into the world. Are your words building people or breaking them? Are your actions reinforcing the culture or reshaping it? Are you using your light to shine on truth or to distract from it? Elevators don't just rise, they lift others, they bring people with them, they raise the bar. This doesn't mean you can't be joyful, humorous, or entertaining at times. There's nothing wrong with lightness and laughter. They're powerful too. But don't let entertainment become your identity. Don't let it be your mask. Let it be a moment, not your foundation. You can be magnetic and still meaningful. You can be relatable and still revolutionary. But the difference lies in your asterisk intention. Asterisk, when your focus is elevation, you stop chasing trends and start creating movements. You stop mimicking others and start mastering yourself. You don't show up to get attention. You show up to shift perspectives. That's where real power lies. That's the kind of presence that changes lives, not just moments. Think about the people who have truly moved you in life, the ones whose words stayed with you, the ones who made you feel seen, heard, awakened. They probably weren't entertainers, they were elevators, they spoke truth, they lived with intention, they walked in purpose, they weren't trying to get everyone to like them, they were trying to light the way. Be that kind of person. Choosing to elevate means walking away from environments that expect you to perform. It means turning down opportunities that want your charisma, but not your character. It means not lowering yourself to fit into rooms where people can't handle your growth. Sometimes elevation requires isolation. Sometimes it means being misunderstood, but that's the cost of rising. You outgrow what no longer aligns with where you're headed. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs clarity. It needs people who are brave enough to stand for something, not just stand out. It needs voices that wake us up, not just distract us. It needs you, not the polished, performative version of you, but the real, bold, aware version that's not afraid to say, "I didn't come here to entertain. I came here to elevate." So the next time you feel the pressure to perform, pause. Breathe, ask yourself, am I doing this to be liked or to make a difference? Then choose the higher road. Choose to be the one who lifts, who leads, who inspires. It may not always get you the fastest applause, but it will earn you the deepest respect. Because at the end of the day, people may forget the show you put on, but they'll never forget how you made them rise, elevate, always. Don't settle for applause when you were built for impact. Elevate, don't entertain. That phrase carries a weight that many people overlook in their pursuit of attention and validation. It speaks to the choice between leading with substance or settling for surface-level popularity. In today's culture, it's easy to fall into the trap of being performative, presenting yourself in ways that please the crowd, deliver laughs, or keep the spotlight on you. But the truth is, entertainment fades. What truly lasts, what leaves an imprint, is elevation, the choice to rise above the noise, to stand for something greater, to use your presence to lift others, not just to impress them. We live in a time where value is often measured in likes, views, and viral moments. People work tirelessly to be seen, to be liked, to trend, but so often this performance is hollow. It's not built on authenticity, but on a curated image. The pressure to entertain pushes people to become a version of themselves that pleases others, often at the cost of their own values and purpose. You start becoming who the world wants you to be instead of who you were born to be. Elevation is different. It's not about temporary attention. It's about lasting influence. It's about being rooted in purpose and choosing to speak truth even when it doesn't get applause. It's about leading with intention, showing depth, and inspiring those around you to rise higher, not just feel better. Elevating means you don't play down your power to fit into rooms that only value noise. You carry yourself with dignity, you lead with wisdom, you choose depth over drama. To elevate is to hold yourself to a higher standard. It means asking yourself what you stand for before you speak. It means choosing clarity over confusion, growth over gratification, and integrity over applause. Entertainers perform for approval. Elevators lead regardless of it. That's the difference. When you're focused on entertainment, you constantly need validation. You start living for other people's reactions. Your energy becomes scattered, chasing attention, adjusting your voice, your look, your opinions, just to keep the crowd happy. But when the applause fades, you're left questioning your identity. Was it ever really you, or was it a character you created to survive in a world obsessed with performance? Elevation, on the other hand, grounds you. It allows you to show up fully, not as a character, but as your whole self. You're no longer performing, you're walking in your truth, and when you're walking in truth, you don't need to be the loudest in the room. You speak with purpose, you act with vision, you lead with conviction. People may not always agree with you, but they will respect you, because elevation demands courage. The courage to not follow the crowd, the courage to not be liked by everyone, and the courage to keep rising anyway. Not everyone will understand your decision to stop entertaining. Some will say you've changed, some will call you distant, arrogant, or boring, but the ones who are meant to walk with you, the ones who are growing too, they'll see the shift for what it is. A deepening, a refining, a realignment. When you stop entertaining, you make space for those who are also looking to elevate, not just escape. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy fun or light-hearted moments. It doesn't mean you can't laugh, celebrate, or even be entertaining when the time is right, but it means you no longer live for it. It means your worth isn't tied to how much attention you can get, but how much value you bring. It means you prioritize impact over image. Sometimes elevation requires separation. You'll have to walk away from circles that thrive on gossip, chaos, or performance. You'll have to detach from relationships that only value the version of you that entertains. You may feel lonely at times, but that space will eventually be filled with peace, clarity, and deeper connections, connections that honor who you truly are. The truth is, you weren't created to just keep people entertained. You were created to move people, to awaken something within them, to help them see more, feel more, become more. That kind of power doesn't come from putting on a show. It comes from being real, grounded, and purpose-driven. There will always be a market for entertainers. The world loves a show, but there is an even greater need for people who elevate others, people who don't just perform but inspire, people who remind others to believe in something bigger, people who choose stillness over noise, truth over popularity, and legacy over likes. So make the decision, the next time you feel the urge to entertain, to over-explain, to perform, to impress bores. Ask yourself, am I here to be seen, or am I here to serve? Am I trying to fit in, or am I ready to rise? Choose elevation even when it's quieter, even when it's harder, even when it goes unnoticed. Because when the lights dim and the audience disappears, elevation will still be with you. It becomes part of who you are, and in a world full of distractions, choosing to elevate might be the boldest and most beautiful thing you ever do. Say less, do more. These 4 words carry a timeless truth, one that separates those who talk about potential from those who live it. In a world where everyone has something to say, where opinions echo louder than actions, and where appearances often trump substance, those who choose to quietly deliver results stand out, not because they are the loudest, but because they are the most effective. Saying less isn't about being silent. It's about letting your actions become your voice. Doing more isn't about being busy. It's about being impactful. Too many people waste time talking about what they're going to do. They make announcements, promises, declarations, sometimes to others, sometimes just to themselves. It feels good to say big things. It creates the illusion of progress, but words are easy. Execution is hard. That's where the line is drawn. The world doesn't need more talkers. It needs more doers, people who quietly show up, keep their heads down, and let the results speak volumes. Real confidence doesn't need a megaphone. It shows up in consistency. It shows up in the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices no one claps for. It shows up when no one is watching and no one is praising. Talking less means refusing to get distracted by the need to prove anything to anyone. It's about choosing discipline over validation. It's about understanding that energy is finite, and every moment you spend talking about what you're going to do is a moment you're not actually doing it. There's a reason why the most successful people don't always announce their moves. They don't need to. Their work reveals it. Their results introduce them before they even enter the room. When you say less and do more, you shift the focus away from what could be and toward what asterisk is. Asterisk, you turn dreams into deliverables. You stop performing and start building. Doing more is not about chasing perfection. It's about taking action even when things aren't perfect. It's about progress, not noise. Every step you take in silence compounds. Every quiet hour you invest in your craft, in your health, in your mindset, it adds up. It becomes your foundation, one that no storm, no critic, no doubt can shake. There is a quiet power in moving with intention and letting your work speak for you. You don't have to convince anyone you're working hard when your output says it all. You don't have to post every move you make to prove you're progressing. Your transformation will be loud enough on its own. Your growth, your peace, your results. They will reflect your effort more accurately than words ever could. We've grown up in a culture that confuses talking about dreams with chasing them. But the truth is, the grind is not glamorous. Most of the time, it's uncomfortable, unrecognized, and uncelebrated. But that's where character is forged. Not in what you say you will do, but in what you're willing to do without needing attention for it. Doers don't need spotlights. They need space, space to create, space to focus, space to evolve. Saying less also builds trust. People learn to take your word seriously when you don't use it lightly. When you say something, they know it's real because you've built a pattern of following through. That kind of integrity is rare and powerful. It's not about being mysterious. It's about being reliable. When your words align with your actions, you gain credibility that no amount of talking can manufacture. There will always be people who talk louder, shine brighter, or market themselves better. But the world has a way of noticing those who put their heads down and deliver, those who build quietly and consistently, those who don't rush to be seen because they're too busy doing the work that matters. And that work over time becomes undeniable. It becomes your story. It becomes your proof. Doing more also changes how you see yourself. You start trusting yourself more. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. You begin to take pride in how far you've come, not because you talked about it, but because you lived through it, you felt every struggle, you overcame every doubt, you kept going, not because people were watching, but because you believed in your mission. So don't waste time explaining your dreams to people who can't see your vision. Let them watch, let them doubt, let them talk. You stay focused, you stay grounded, you stay moving. Talk less about what you're going to achieve. Show up every day and become it, quietly, powerfully, consistently. In the end, those who say less and do more aren't remembered for their words. They are remembered for their impact, for the lives they touched, the value they created, and the change they sparked. Their legacy isn't written in promises, it's carved into actions. So make that choice today. Say less, do more. Let your success make the noise. Set boundaries without apology. That sentence is more than help advice. It's a declaration of self-respect. In a world that constantly asks you to give more, do more, be more for others, setting boundaries is an act of courage. It is a statement that your time, your energy, and your peace are valuable. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Because if you don't protect your space, someone else will occupy it without hesitation. We are conditioned to think that saying no makes us unkind, that standing firm means we're difficult, that protecting our well-being somehow makes us less lovable or less generous. But here's the truth: the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for others is to set clear, healthy boundaries. Without them, you lose yourself in the noise of everyone else's needs. You begin to betray your own values in the name of being liked, being accepted, or being needed. And that betrayal always comes with a cost. Setting boundaries means understanding that you are not responsible for how others react to your truth. You are responsible for honoring your limits, even when it disappoints someone. Discomfort is not the same as disrespect. Some people will feel uncomfortable with your boundaries because they benefited from your lack of them. That's not your burden to carry. You're not here to be available to everyone at the cost of abandoning yourself. When you set a boundary, you are not rejecting people. You are respecting yourself. You are drawing a line that says, "This is where I end and where you begin. This is what I will allow, and this is what I won't." Not because I don't care, but because I've learned to care for myself too. That kind of clarity is powerful. It removes resentment before it begins. It creates room for honest relationships instead of lopsided ones. And most importantly, it teaches people how to treat you. Too often, we expect people to read our minds or sense our limits without ever expressing them. But boundaries unspoken are boundaries unprotected. If you don't communicate them, people will keep crossing them, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes deliberately. You owe it to yourself to speak up, to say, "That doesn't work for me," to say, "I'm not available at this time," to say, "I won't tolerate that behavior," and to say it without flinching, without softening the message for someone else's comfort. Apologizing for your boundaries is like apologizing for having a backbone. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your peace. You don't need to feel guilty for creating distance where chaos once lived. Boundaries are not walls to push people out. They are gates to let the right ones in. The people who truly respect you will honor your boundaries. They won't challenge them, manipulate them, or guilt you into abandoning them. They will adjust or exit, and that's a win either way. You must also learn to set boundaries with yourself. Discipline is a form of self-respect too. It's about saying no to your distractions, saying no to the habits that drain your energy, saying no to patterns that keep you stuck. When you set internal boundaries, how much you'll tolerate from your inner critic, how often you'll people please, how far you'll stretch for others, you begin to build self-trust. You show yourself that you are no longer available for the things that sabotage your growth. There is immense strength in being kind and firm. You can lead with grace and still say no. You can be compassionate and still protect your time. You can love someone deeply and still not allow them to overstep your limits. Being boundaried doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear, and clarity is a gift, not just to you, but to everyone around you. It eliminates confusion, it sets expectations, it fosters healthier communication. Let go of the need to justify your limits. You don't need a long explanation for why you need rest. You don't need a defense for why you won't tolerate disrespect. You don't need a reason to choose yourself. People will try to challenge you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're too strict now. That's fine. Let them. Growth will always threaten comfort. And those who prefer the old version of you, the one who said yes out of guilt or fear, will try to pull you back. Don't go. Keep standing. Keep choosing you. At the end of the day, boundaries are about balance. You're not cutting people off. You're cutting off access to parts of you that they didn't handle with care. You're not being difficult. You're being deliberate. You're protecting your peace like it's sacred. Because it is. You only have so much time, so much energy, so much presence to give. Give it wisely, give it intentionally, and never feel the need to apologize for doing so. Setting boundaries isn't the end of love, connection, or community. It's the beginning of real, honest, mutual respect. And that respect starts with you. When you honor yourself, you teach the world how to do the same. So say it clearly, say it confidently, say it without apology. This is my line. And stand by it. Attention is a moment. Respect is a reputation. These words are more than just a catchy phrase. They represent the difference between fleeting recognition and lasting value. In today's fast-paced, social, media-driven world, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking attention. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, validated. The applause, the likes, the followers, they can feel intoxicating, but here's the truth. Attention comes and goes. It's like sugar, sweet in the moment, but it fades quickly. Respect, on the other hand, is like a well-cooked meal. It nourishes, it stays with you. It's earned over time and not easily taken away. There is a reason why people forget viral sensations but remember individuals who stood for something, who worked hard, who showed integrity in the face of challenges. Attention is loud but hollow. Respect is quiet but powerful. When people respect you, they value what you bring to the table, not just how loud your voice is or how many people are looking at you. Respect means you're trusted, your name carries weight. And that weight isn't built overnight. It's built through years of showing up, doing the work, treating people right, and standing by your values when it's not convenient. We live in a culture that often rewards the loudest person in the room. But volume doesn't equal value. It's easy to be loud. It's easy to post something shocking and get thousands of views. But what do people say about you when you're not in the room? That's the real measure of respect. Are you the kind of person whose presence is felt even in absence? That's the kind of impact that matters. That's the kind of impact that builds legacy. Attention often asks you to perform. Respect asks you to be consistent. The problem with chasing attention is that it makes you a character in other people's stories. You constantly feel the need to top your last moment, to be more visible, more outrageous, more appealing. But with respect, you get to write your own story. You get to move with purpose, not performance. You're not just reacting. You're building, you're leading, you're becoming. When you chase attention, you risk losing yourself. You start saying things that aren't aligned with your truth, doing things that go against your values, just to keep the crowd clapping, and eventually the clapping stops. It always does. The audience moves on to the next spectacle, the next trending topic. But when you build your life around respect, you don't need to keep up with the noise. You don't need to beg for approval. You know who you are, and others know it too. Not because you shouted, but because you showed up. Respect is a reputation built in silence. It's born from how you treat people when no one's watching. It's forged in moments of restraint, when you choose grace over gossip, integrity over shortcuts, and truth over popularity. These moments might not make headlines, but they build the foundation of who you are, and that foundation cannot be shaken by criticism or overshadowed by someone else's spotlight. There's something deeply fulfilling about knowing you are respected, not for being perfect, not for being popular, but for being real. Respect allows you to walk into any room with your head high, knowing you didn't compromise who you are to get there. It allows you to sleep at night without wondering who you need to impress tomorrow. It brings peace, confidence, and the kind of credibility that no amount of attention can buy. One of the most powerful things you can do is to stop chasing attention and start cultivating character. Pay attention to how you show up, not just in public, but in private. What do your colleagues say about you? How do you treat people who can do nothing for you? These are the questions that define your reputation. These are the questions that lead to respect. People may be drawn to the flash of attention, but they stay for the depth of character. They remember how you made them feel, how you stood your ground, how you carried yourself in the face of adversity. That's what gets passed down. That's what lives on long after the spotlight fades. So yes, attention is a moment. It will come and go. But if you build a life rooted in purpose, in consistency, in truth, you will earn something far more valuable. You will earn respect, and that respect will speak for you even when you're silent. It will open doors you didn't knock on. It will place your name in rooms you've never entered. Because when people respect you, you don't need to demand recognition. Your presence commands it. Let the world chase moments. You build your reputation. Let others shout for attention. You move with quiet confidence, because at the end of the day, when all the noise dies down, what really matters is not how many people noticed you, but how deeply you were valued. And respect, that always tastes better. Don't perform for the spotlight. Prepare for the silence. That's a lesson life teaches you when you realize that real growth, real mastery, and real self-worth are born in the unseen hours. The spotlight is seductive. It makes you feel alive, validated, important. It brings the illusion that you're only successful when people are watching, when you're being applauded, when your work is visible and praised. But the truth is, the spotlight is the final chapter, not the story. The real work happens in silence, and it's in that silence that your strength is either built or broken. We live in a time where performance is constant. Every post is curated, every move is broadcast, every achievement is shared for public consumption, and yet the most meaningful progress in life often happens behind closed doors. It's the hours of practice when no one's cheering. It's the decisions you make when no one's judging. It's the resilience you show when no one sees you fall. Silence is where you either meet your fears or let them rule you. When you live for the spotlight, your energy becomes external. You start doing things not because they are right, but because they are visible. You're no longer focused on becoming better. You're focused on being seen as better. That mindset can destroy authenticity, drain your spirit, and tie your worth to other people's approval. But when you embrace the silence, you shift the focus inward. You begin to ask yourself better questions. Who am I when no one is looking? What do I stand for when no one is listening? What am I building when no one is clapping? Those are the questions that truly matter, because the spotlight doesn't last, it's temporary. It moves on quickly. Today you're trending, tomorrow you're forgotten. But the work you do in silence, that stays. It shows up in your discipline, your confidence, your growth. Silence sharpens you. It forces you to become self-aware. It teaches you patience. It shows you how to stay committed without applause. And that kind of internal commitment is what separates the temporary performers from the timeless leaders. Greatness isn't built in moments of glory. It's built in moments of doubt, discomfort, and discipline. It's when you show up to write, rehearse, practice, or prepare, even when nobody cares. It's when you push through the mental blocks and keep going, knowing that you might not get recognition now, or ever. It's in those lonely hours that you plant the seeds of something much greater than validation, self-respect. The irony is, when you stop chasing the spotlight and start preparing in silence, the spotlight finds you. But this time you're ready, not because you rehearsed a performance, but because you did the real work. You didn't pretend, you prepared, you didn't chase fame, you built substance. You don't just look the part, you are the part. Preparation in silence gives you something attention never can, peace of mind. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to beg for opportunities. You walk into a room already grounded because you know the hours you've poured into yourself. You've been battle-tested when no one was watching. You've already been through the fire. The spotlight no longer feels like pressure, it feels like a platform. There's power in being underestimated. There's power in growing quietly, in being your own motivation, in being your own audience. When you're okay with being unseen for a while, you discover what you're truly made of. You learn to clap for yourself. You learn to hold yourself accountable. You learn that success isn't always shiny. It's often sweaty, messy, and painfully slow. But you also learn that silence is sacred. It's where clarity lives. It's where you hear your inner voice the loudest. It's where the noise of the world fades away and your purpose becomes crystal clear. And once you've prepared in silence, the noise can't shake you anymore. The critics can't stop you. The spotlight can't control you because you didn't rise from applause. You rose from alignment, so stop performing. Start preparing. You don't need to be seen to be valuable. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to be viral to be impactful. Just be consistent, be intentional, be relentless, use the silence. Don't fear it, let it refine you, and when the time comes, when the lights shine and the world finally pays attention, you won't need to fake a thing, you'll simply rise, prepared, grounded, unshakable. Because you didn't perform for the spotlight, you prepared for the silence, and that makes all the difference.